here.
Yeah.
And turn the lights off. Yeah, turn the headlights off.
Oh, I gotta turn that. I don't need the lights anymore. Anyway, I'm just kidding. This is less than an hour.
You might hit it.
And that's not the topic. But you know, Cyril, Eric, I had to do that. Anyway, that's what we're going to take a look at today. Two parts. One's really short. That's the second half. One's really long. Well, no, it's not. I don't know how many people here have heard of the 41CL. Okay, that's good. How many have one? So 5 of us. And how many are familiar with what's going on inside? Maybe. No, maybe. Anyhow, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at this from a user perspective. Yes, Jeremy? Questions already? Pardon me?
I'm familiar with the second part.
Oh, there you go. Well, this is for the English, the second part. And I brought one of the, do I have to? Okay, I can stick this in here.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I need this. There we go. So in any case, we're going to take a look at it, and it's going to be very basic. I could probably read this thing, or just let you read it. In any case, the 41CL is a new board. It's a replacement board. It only works on specific HP 41s, the full nuts. Those are the ones with the square LCD panels, not the round panels. It's based on the board itself. Very important that your logic PCA actually contacts the board and gets power, because this board contains a flash drive. And I have the dubious honor of being the only HP 41CL user that toasted his flash drive and had to send it back to Monte. Fortunately, I didn't destroy the flash drive, I just erased part of it, and he could flash the whole thing. Because of that, because it's a flash drive, which is similar to a thumb drive, you can't pull it out in the middle of an erase or a write to, which is what happened when the screws let go in the middle of a 15-minute race. Oh, I know how to fix them, and I charge for that. Anyway, there's also another little physical modification on very original 1954 serial numbers or earlier. And then we'll just look at a few examples here on what I do with this thing. Now, everybody's familiar with this. I had the honor of working on Roger Hill's HP 41C, which he just got back, and that's his right there. And if you look at the new board on the left, it's, well, of course, it has to be the same size, the same shape. And you'll see a little bit of a distortion in these pictures because my close-up lens is wide angle with the, anyway, it doesn't matter. 2 holes for the screw posts on the bottom. You've got connectors. That's the biggest difference, and that's the most wonderful part about this CL. We are right now beta testing, and we are working on the serial port. Yes, it's a serial port. Monte said serial port because it's much easier to do the communication through that than to work into a USB on a board this size. So beta testers right now haven't come up with a step-by-step, although some of them have been successful. The one on the right is the FPGA connector. That's the one that Monte had to unplug and reflash for all the software. When he comes up with the beta testing, he comes up with the final software, he will allow you to send it back and reflash it. But there are ways to patch it ourselves. So as I said, we're going quickly through these because Monte or Gene, I thought, might have been doing more of a presentation on the hardware. So I was just going to show you what it looks like. This is the other side. Not much to look at on the HP 41C, but we have 2 more chips here. This is the connector at the bottom of the calculator, and you can see they're both identical. Again, the screw posts have to be good on this machine, otherwise you might toast your flash. What does this thing look like? When you look into these, this is a full nut. Full nuts have a whole circuit board that gets removed. You saw that earlier. And you have this connector at the bottom. This is the preferred connector. There are 2 types. I didn't have time to throw the other type, but it's a single strip. As a matter of fact, it's cut right across here. It's got a foam insert and it's split like a V. And they compress over time. And as they compress, they make a bad connection. However, this is a silicone tube with the wire wrap around it, so it has much less compressibility, so it holds its shape a lot better, and you have good connection between the CL board and the calculator. So these are the connector areas. If you're going to modify your CL, you have to be very aware of the battery module block. So there's power through here, and there's the ROM plug-in modules that go through the top. More on that later. This is the board to the keyboard connector. Now, on the really old machines, as witnessed by these absolutely gorgeous plastic encapsulated LCD drivers, after this, about 1980, they went to blobs of epoxy. So this identifies a very early version. As a matter of fact, this serial number is 1933. These drivers appear on 1954 serial numbers or earlier, and you then need to modify the LCD panel with a, what have I got there, 0.01 microfarad capacitor. And I've never done this before, and I'm not an electrical engineer, I'm a botanist. So this is all interesting stuff to me. In any case, Monte walked me through it, and looking at this we'll recognize out of the 41C maintenance manual. And the pinouts are here, and they conform to these 2 points in the circuit. The capacitor goes in. What it does is it modifies the frequency of the display in the LCD panel. I actually ran this for 2 weeks without that in there, and it functioned. Monte said it may not from the specifications function, but he wasn't sure. So it's a modification that costs you 10 cents, and if you're in there, you can do it. I don't think you have to do it. I'm going to find out on Jerry Schwartz's. Now, getting back to just a RISI, I'm going through these physical connections very quickly. These are the screw posts, and what I have done is I found a really neat product at an airplane modeling store. Styrene tubes, and I've got the specifications if anybody wants to do this. I was going to bring some with me, but security took them away because I had a razor blade with them too. You know, go figure. So, if you get this particular tubing, it snugly fits right onto that post and gives it a nice little reinforcement. They'll actually take crack posts and close them up. And do you want to get home tonight? Okay, go ahead. Yes.
Consider shrink tubing?
No. The shrink tubing doesn't like glue. It doesn't like styrene solvent either. So the styrene, if you do have cracks in here, this is a great way to repair them. You just put the tube over, you cut it, you measure it so you can cut it flush with the screw post, and then a little bit of styrene solvent in there, leave it overnight, and you've now bonded the white tube to the screw post. However, we don't do that here. We only do that in these two. These two get glued in. I gave you that one, and when you look in through the battery compartment, you see what the tubes are doing. They're sitting proud, and to get the module to fit, you have to shave about a 32nd of an inch off these two little tabs that aren't doing anything there anyway. Now the whole module fits in, and these screw posts are extremely well. The screws hold beautifully on these, so they're perfectly reinforced. On the older versions of this 41C, the ones with the hex nuts, the chances are once you unscrew the hex nut, pull the 41C board off, you're never going to use those hex nuts again. They're not threaded on, they cut the threads in as they turned on. Two things with that. You're torquing the screw post, and you don't get a great feel when you're doing it, and you can torque that screw post right out of the keyboard side. So why bother? Instead, what I do is once I've got the board in place, I cut two of these styrofoam or styrene tubes flush with the top of the screw, and then I let the back shell do what it's supposed to do. Press this into that connector. And as a matter of fact, HP made spacers and threw the hex nuts out. If it ever went in for servicing, I know I've seen about 4 or 5 of those come across my desk. It used to have hex nuts, they threw them out, and they made their own spacers. But they made big fat ones, and they didn't fit well. Sorry. That was like 35 years ago. Ouch. Anyway, let's get off the hardware, get on to the software. What does this thing do? Well, I'm going to give you an example of a software application. In the airplane, we fly around the world. And one of the places we go to, they use meters and not feet. They use meters in China, Mongolia, Korea, and Russia. And they don't use the same meters. Yes, ask me. That leads me to this point. Let's not. Now, the first part is, this is not a linear chart. They don't just take the conversion for feet to meters and then run it up to 31,000 or 40,000 feet. There's two reasons for that. One of them is we don't fly at 12-foot intervals. We don't fly at 1-foot intervals. We fly at 100-foot intervals. So 33,100 makes sense to me. 33,127.3 does not. Second part is we have countries with extremely good radar and aircraft with extremely good systems. So now they've reduced our vertical separation, RVSM, in these countries with this type of aircraft to 1,000 feet in opposite directions. 20 years ago, it was 2,000 feet in opposite directions. So now we're 1,000 feet in opposite directions, and that applies in China. It does not apply in Russia because the Russians aren't as up to date as the Chinese. That gives me different altitudes when I cross a fix from China into Russia. And I've got to get that altitude assigned to me. So this is what the company does. It creates a nonlinear, arbitrary chart based on the altitudes that these countries want you to use. I tried to regress the whole thing when I found out that it doesn't make sense. So I saw that they had two different slopes. I tried to regress those two slopes, put in a subroutine to tell me am I above, which slope to go to, which regression to use. Yes, you can do that. It's elegant, it's fast, but I'm lazy. So I'm going to use the database. And I'm going to go into extended memory, and I'm going to use my CX. And that's the chart that we're using. So this is the database. At 8,100 feet, they're identical. From 8,100 down. From 8,100 up, RVSM, China, North Korea, no RVSM. If you actually do the math here, what's 29.9? That's about 1,600 feet between 31 and 29.9. And it's, what, 1,000 feet there. So they've reduced the separation in China because they have better equipment. Of course, my airplane is in feet, hence the chart. So here I'm going to do a standard. So I've written a program that prompts for altitude. This is a CX, this is a CL. I've just put in what he's cleared me to, 13,100 meters. On my gauge says 43,000 feet. Now they're both running the same routine, but the same memory, and at this point I figured I could break and say there are three types of Canadians. Those that can count, and those that can't. And then I realized I could do another joke, because it's still running. And I'm digging for that other joke. But anyway, 10 out of 5 Canadians are dyslexic. See, it finally came up with 43,000. That was 42 seconds, if anybody timed it. Which means that this little program, this beautiful little CX, it was a thought experiment. You couldn't use it. Now I can use that database search. And all that database search was a sequential look in extended memory. I typed in 13,100. It starts and it goes up the chart looking for 13,100. When it finds 13,100, all I've told it to do is display the next value. Boy, you really don't want to get home tonight. I could, but that wasn't why I did this. I wanted to demonstrate the speed of the CL. I didn't want to get the CX an extra boost here. So anyway, that's just a very short example. My great circle route takes 22 seconds. It's a standard great circle coordinate system to produce a great circle distance, etc. On the CX, instantaneous like the 42. On the CL, it's instantaneous like the 42S. On the 41CX, it's 18 seconds. So depending, it's like we were just talking, what are the basis of testing speed on the machine? Well, it depends what it's doing. Is it doing a database search? Is it actually doing math? Is it doing a refined database search that you just mentioned? So that's one of the first things in the CL. But do you buy it just because it's fast? Well, there's 42S's out there, etc. Well, see that little guy? How many here had a 41C, CV or CX? How many here, okay, like 90% of you, how many here had memory loss because of static, memory loss because of power, memory loss because of a physical shock? Right, hello, yes. Well, no more do we have to worry about that, because it's not just the speed of the machine, it's the ability to recover from a dreaded memory loss. Now, if you have well, I've just explained all that. Now, in the airplane, when I lost a memory loss in the cockpit with a dry environment, it was a weekly event. So I carried a card reader around, I carried a wall set of 21 cards, I carried individual program cards, I filled up the darn card wallet, and then I had to create a synthetic program, which I copied from Keith Jarrett's books, and had to copy all my databases back into extended memory, and that whole procedure took about 20 minutes. And I do that in the hotel before beer, well, after beer. Anyway, so what do we do now? If you've been following it all, and I'll give you addresses of the wiki that Bruce has put up, and also there's a lot of talk on the web and the museum website, etc. We've been creating programs, 20 beta testers, and Angel Martin has been creating ROM images to put in the machine that are a list of utilities. A very short form that I wrote of this went into one of the ROM images, but this program is why? Well, Monte called all his routines, he bracketed them with a Y. So I just thought, if this is going to be a 41CL routine, I'll stick a Y in front of it too. But what it means is calculator to flash. Remember, we have flash. Flash doesn't care about power, flash doesn't care about time. Well, it probably does, but we're not going to have to worry about that. We've been doing this for 30 years. How many more years are we doing it? I don't know. Anyhow, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the calculator, what we've put in it, and we're going to copy all the program registers, the ex-memory registers, the key assignments, the alarms, the flags, something you could not do with the 41. Even if you had a tape deck, or if you had the floppy drive, or the wall set, unless you had synthetics, you couldn't do the extended memory. But this will take everything. And this program I've given a little abort in case you suddenly say, oh gee, I forgot to change the batteries. I don't want them to die in the middle of this. You write to the flash. So I've given you a little out on the program. And I want you to remember this little phrase here, the calculator state. So we all have our favorite HP41C. We've got 2 registers of program memory left. We got 600 extended memory registers full. And it's done. And we'll call that, in my program, an aviation state. But then I walk over to the university and I'm thinking about doing my PhD, and I want to resurrect my master's programs, which was 600 lines of programming for my climatology studies. Well, now I have to memory loss this, load up the cards, get the other one going. No, I'm going to stick them in a flash memory too. And then I'm going to say, I'm doing some programming here. 16C, where's my 16C? I'm going to turn this HP41CL into a 16C. But I'll stick that in the flash and call it a calculator state. One more, I don't need my PDA anymore. I got 600 extended memory registers. I've written a program that takes 3 registers, gives me a phone number, a name, and a title. So I can do 200 names and addresses. But that takes up all the extended memory. I don't have any left. Yes, I do. It's all in flash. And it's called the calculator state. So with that in mind, let's do a memory loss.
Is it being flashed to a ROM in the calculator?
In the calculator. We're not there yet, Roger.
No USB?
No, we're not there yet, because this is the amazing thing. What I'm doing here, and this is the boring part, because I threw this together in the last 6 months, and I didn't have time. So, what we're doing is I'm just going through the 41CL catalogs. So here's number 4, extended memory. So I've shown you what's in the machine, and then I'm going to create a memory loss on this. No, actually, I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to copy this thing with all these catalogs. That's the number 6 catalog. That's the key assignments. I'm going to copy this to the flash, and this is how easy, now that we've written routines that automate this for us. We used to be doing this by hand. So here we go. Execute. I think I know what I'm going to do here. YCTOF. And there's memory addresses. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've just hit the letter C, the key C. That key, I'm using get key. Everybody here remember what get key does? It gets the key code, and then you make a label based on the key code, and it takes you to that subroutine. So C was get out of the program and clear. So label 13 was get out and exit and show me done. Now I've decided to copy it to number 1, which is key code 11, which is label 11 in the program. I got a copy of this for everybody if they want it on the computer. And now it's comping. Right now, my entire calculator into the flash. I can drop the batteries out of it. I can leave it in the closet for 10 years as long as the flash doesn't dissolve. Flash dissolve after time. I know there's amount of write capability. These are 100,000 flash writes.
Even storage.
But storage will over time, like any electronics. So here we are. What am I going to do now?
You just did memory loss.
Okay, thank you. I guess I should watch it. It's interesting. This set of stuff that I'm putting in here is what you have to do to bootstrap this system. You're enabling the CL memory and the CL functions. You are now, with plug 1L, just put a virtual ROM image into port 1 lower. That's like physically plugging it in, but I've virtually plugged it in. Now I'm giving it a turbo 50 mode, which sounds like it's 50 times faster. It depends what you're doing. It's up to 50 times faster, but on average, I think, depending what you're doing, you're probably 30 times faster. And you saw the speed difference. Remember, I had a memory loss, and with my calculator flash program, I stored it in a memory location on the flash called OC9. So now what I'm going to do is take OC9 and copy it with that command back to RAM memory 800, which is the calculator. That's where everything sits. This takes 16 seconds. Right now I'm working on a program that will actually indicate up here when it's done. Right now I'm counting to 16, and then I'm hitting it because I've timed it. I have found a trick, and it involves the user flag. If the user mode is off or on when you do the copy, then you turn it off when you copy it back. Once the copy is done, the user mode shows up, and that's your 16-second cue that you've done. Look at this. Remember, it was memory lost? Everything's back.
Yay. Why do you throw in what recovery?
Well, now what's happening here is we're learning as we're going. That routine, I'm trying to get Angel Martin to actually stick in a ROM. So it's in virtual ROM, it's outside of the program RAM, so I can do whatever I want in the program RAM from outside. So if I have that formula, or that routine, in the ROM, I can execute it without it being in the calculator state. So that's what that program's doing, and to get it into the ROM chip, then I don't have to worry, and now I do have a single button push. And we can actually make a utility that goes further. Now I'm going to cut this short, because, or maybe not. Oh yeah, little explanation here. See U-plug? I just hit U-plug and up came 3 things. U-plug is a little short routine that plugs in, guess what? Any one of the 200 virtual ROMs that exist are all on that board. Zen ROM. Any ROM you want is on that board. So if you have a box of physical ROMs at home, get them on eBay now, because they ain't going to be worth that much when everybody converts to this, because they're all there. Let's see what happens on this one. So there you go. I pretty well told you what these are. Calculator states. In my calculator, I have a program called Aviate, a calculator state phone, which is the phone numbers for my work and friends. That's my climatological study stuff. And there's the HP16. So it's simply a matter of keeping track. Now, if you've been following any of the beta testing, this is the stuff I've been doing along with the writing of the routines. This is all at the wiki site. This is for every beta tester. And because you have calculator states, you got to keep track of where you put them, because we no longer have one calculator in our hand. We now have as many. And I've just written a program routine for 4 states. I don't know how many states you do need.
How many can you store?
Yeah, you're on the
That's my
campus.
question. How many can you store?
Oh, I haven't actually done the math. I came here and I wanted to have all the memory and everything, and I thought, gee, Monte was going to explain to you that we got a 1 megabyte board, and these are 4K elements. And how many of these are usable? Pardon me?
I think there were 56 blank
56 4K RAM pages. Okay, you got 56 calculator states, right? So there you go. That's where they're at, and that is available as a booklet. It's actually in my bag here. I'll show it to you if you're interested after. We're getting late. Question. Stop.
Back up.
Coming back.
Up to
Oh,
that page.
we're almost done.
No,
Let's go
back up.
backwards.
One more.
One more. There you go.
The OC9, OE2, and so forth. Those are addresses?
Those are addresses.
And
Sorry.
how do you find those out?
First of all, you get Monte's manual.
Okay.
Then what I've appended to Monte's manual is 10 pages on how to update, how to do all this. It's like a user manual, because we've been beta testing. Monte gave us the thing to use and said play, and we're finding out exactly what we can do with this. So you want to get that.
Hey, Jeff?
He's here.
You essentially picked those places to put it.
Yes.
You wrote the flash.
I went into a section in his book where he's got the RAM addresses, the flash RAM addresses. There's 2 chips in there, a RAM chip and a flash RAM chip. The RAM chip is wonderful. It'll hold it and hold it, hold it until you pull the batteries. Flash RAM will hold it as long as flash RAM is capable of physically holding something before it degenerates. Now, I just threw these in to remind me that those are my little commands to change the state and copy the next state back. Which takes me to, well, let's do it. Let's take my aviation program, and all you're looking at there is my routines that I've assigned to every single key on that machine. Some of them are synthetic, some of them are my routines, like the metric altitude that you saw me run is right there. I've got temperature corrections, I've got a world time clock, which you just type in the airport you're going to. It grabs the clock, looks in a database again for LHR for London, and then converts the time and gives you the day, which is really nice when you're crossing the international date line on the way to Hong Kong, and the flight attendant says, what time are we landing in Hong Kong and Frankfurt time? Which is wonderful when you just left Vancouver and you don't know. and they think you know everything. And you know when it gets bumpy and the seatbelt sign comes on? I'm doing this because this takes a while. It gets bumpy. As a matter of fact, I'm going to stop it. And we'll get to that in a second. It's going to cloud the sky and we're doing this. And then they call and say, how long is this going to last? And I've got an idiot beside me. He goes, oh, about 23 minutes. And I'm thinking, thanks a lot. That doesn't help. So what we're going to do, no, stop that.
Good PR though.
Oh, it is. It is. Okay, I got to go back one more. Come on. There we go. Now it'll click in. So what I'm going to do here is I have my aviation thing, and unfortunately, this thing isn't giving me a control to stop. So now I have to tell you another story while I just let it run. Anyway, what we're doing here is I'm showing you. I did these for YouTube actually, and a couple of them are on YouTube, but I haven't done these. So I'm just showing you all the functions that are in here because I'm going to toss them all in a second and call up the Phonebook. Do I have to show you this? Are you interested in this, or do you all want to just sort of? You're interested in this, okay. Here we go. We're going through the key codes right now. I'm just showing you that every key code is going to go back into the calculator. As a matter of fact, I don't even have to copy this to the calculator. It's already in there. All I'm going to do is copy OE2 to RAM location 800. That's my Phonebook. Now, YMCPY, and if I don't hit it, we'll count to 16. And I'm going to have, and I've modified, I noticed, my routine, because now when it's done, and I hit clear at the copy, it gives me the name of the calculator. Watch this, bingo, boom. I added that little trick to the calculator to flash program. So it knows where the name is. So when I'm showing you, I'm just going through all, oh, by the way, that little thing, Cat2, did you count the number of virtual ROMs that are plugged in? It's about 10. It's amazing. I've got right here, I've got an infrared printer, because I print in the airplane. On this side is a time module. See, entry 3. I just typed, there's my phone number for crew scheduling and my key codes for that. And I'm going to call up crew scheduling in London and tell them I'm not going to the airplane because I don't feel well. I need their phone number. There it is, number 4. Scheduling, there's the phone number in London that I call when I've had too much beer and I can tell them I've got the flu. Well, you got to tell them something.
Doesn't matter which ones.
No, so now I'm going to go back to my aviation program. Now I can write a routine for these. and have it assigned to a button. I find assigning right to flash, poke to flash, not a good idea to assign to a key. just not. I don't think it's good in any system. Now you look over here, there's no user flag. Look, there it is. And my aviation program is now back in the calculator. And we don't have to worry about going through them, believe me. This is another 7 seconds of cataloging. You've seen enough. It's a catalog. Now, part 2. This is the long part. You ready? There you go. You got to pay attention here because I got to tell you, I've seen security around the world and saw Vladik. Hello, Vladik. Jeremy, isn't London wonderful? They actually searched my bag one day on the way to the airplane, and I said, young lady, what exactly are you looking for? Now, I'm smiling. I'm asking you what you're looking for just so that I can leave it at home next time. So you won't be doing this. And her answer to me was, anything that will allow you to take control of the airplane. I had no answer. Now, can you imagine me not saying anything? I had no answer to that at all. So, I take 2 things with me through security on purpose. One is HP, and one is not HP. That is HP. And that is what I put my HP 41CL in. Computer, mortar, fire, data, Mark II, British Armed Forces, Bradley Tank Fire Control Box. So that causes questions, but here's my Nixie watch, which thanks to Derek, I purchased one, but I modified it. I have replaced the battery label with a new battery label. Danger, radioactive hazard. And of course it's the international symbol. So of course it's glowing in the dark. And they look at me and here's their question. Sir, what is that? And I usually respond by doing this. Nothing. And then they say, no, really, what is that? And I say, it's a watch, which brings up the next question. What does it do? And I got to tell you, there are 3 answers to that one. None of them will put me in the airplane. So I say it tells time. They say, well, make it work. So you have to tilt that watch because it's got an accelerometer in it and you set the angle, viewing angle. So I tilt it and of course it's a 2-digit display. So what does 2 digits? Well, the first 2 digits are hours, the second 2 digits are minutes, and the last, then it flashes for 30 seconds. And that's all it does, it tells the time. But because I do this, I do have a problem. What went the wrong way? I have one of these at pretty well every airport now in security that I go through. As a result of carrying mortar-fired control units and radioactive hazards. So I got to say thank you to Monte. They told you it was quick. And Keith Jarrett, who we mentioned earlier, but the telephone book, which I modified, the telephone program came from his extended functions. Of course, and I think this book needs a reprint, Vladik. When this HP 41CL takes off, Monte has, I just found out today, 50 new boards running through manufacturing. Who wants one? This 41CL will replace your 42. This thing's got a live clock. That's the reason I didn't quite like the 42. My programs were dynamic. And Richard, is Richard Nelson here? Thank you for all the help and everything you did. And then, of course, the beta testing team. And, of course, 41. Is there anybody from HP here? No, there isn't. They're sleeping. Okay. Anyway, so as a result of this, when this happens to a 41C, I am not going to do that. I'm going to be happy. You know, I did that last year.